Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with a follow-up with one of my faves, Volatus Aerospace, Glen Lynch, CEO. Glen, glad to have you back. I'm hoping that we can talk about a few things that have developed since the first interview, where we did a pretty in-depth breakdown of Volatus. But since then, you've had a couple of product releases, and then recently you had the equity raise. I thought maybe we could talk about all of those things and give everybody an update on where Volatus is and how you're feeling about where you're heading in the near term.
So first of all, Tim, thanks for having me again. It's always fun. Always get a lot out of these sessions. It's a two-way street. It's been an exciting time in the drone industry. If we look at the markets and markets report from 2021 called it headed to a $58 billion industry, basically a $20 billion industry today, growing at 17% or approaching a combined annual growth rate of 17%. But the truth of the matter is that was 2021. Russia's invasion, unfortunately, in Ukraine has hyper-stimulated the drone industry. So I would say the only thing we can say is our industry is, it's big, it's growing fast, and it's growing faster than people anticipated in the past. So it's been a really interesting time through the first half of this year so far.
Okay. So not only, I would say not only for the drone industry, but I would say specifically for US drone companies, right?
Yep.
Specifically. Has been I think that the whole Russia-Ukraine thing has emphasized US made or US drones, right?
Most definitely. I mean, the US market is very, very focused on made in America. I mean, Berry compliance would be fantastic, but there's only a few OEMs that actually hit that level, but a lot more focus on American made products, and if not American made, at least Five Eyes, right? So basically, we've added a number of products to our offering that meet both the military requirements and also, for that matter, public safety. Same thing, focusing on that Berry compliance or made in America product base. Okay,
let's talk about a couple of the new products releases. You had the partnership with it's a very cool drone thing, like
Aerovel. Yeah, the flex rotor. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a minute.
So flex rotor is probably one of the most exciting things for us right now in our defense activity. It's I would say a modern day variant of the Scan Eagle, which is one of the most popular drones in military service today. I mean, it's not a weaponized drone. It's actually what they call ISTAR, which is intelligence, surveillance, target acquisition, and reconnaissance. And the difference between the Aerovel product, which is current generation, and the Scan Eagle, which was basically designed, let's say, many, many moons ago, is that Aerovel doesn't require a support network. The product, I'm not sure we've actually got a picture of it in that. Oh yeah, there it is.
Isn't it that one right there?
That's it. So that we need a 4 meter square takeoff. Basically, we need the equivalent of a large, backyard patio, and it's a vertical takeoff and landing. And depending on the payload, I mean, and in a totally missionized normal environment where it's carrying very high-end sensors, this will go aloft for 13 to 15 hours. If we use a very light sensor load, this thing can be equipped with added fuel tanks that'll keep it aloft upwards of 30 hours. But looking at it at a 13 to 15 hour endurance, it really is fantastic for persistent surveillance, and it doesn't require a big infrastructure to support it. So it's in my opinion, one of the most interesting products in the ISR or ISTAR category. It's priced very appealing. We've got a lot of traction on that right now. And to be honest with you, not only is it made in America, but the designer was one of the original guys in situ. He was the original designer of the Scan Eagle and just felt it was time to build something better. And that's exactly what he did.
Okay. So that is one product. And then I saw, you've also got, we got to talk about this thing because I think this is like one of the coolest looking.
Oh, yes, I can see what you're pointing at. So
Yeah, what is it? The Nautilus?
Nautilus. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a made in America. We're very, very proud of our association. I was tracking them for a long time. Last year, when we were going public, people were going, well, why are you interested in having a commercial airplane certificate if you're going to be a drone company? Well, because drones are getting bigger, and I couldn't really share anything at that point, but we've been tracking this company. The company is called Nautilus. It's based out of San Diego, California. That's a 19,000-pound freight aircraft. It's unmanned, so remotely piloted. It's palletized. It can carry, kind of 10 standard airline pallets right out of the belly of a Boeing or Airbus into this aircraft. And the key thing is, to give you an idea of scale, by the way, it's about an 85-foot wingspan, so it's not a small aircraft. And there's a family of aircraft that they're developing. This is the one that we got involved in. But in practical operation, it reduces the cost of cargo by 54%. And on top of that, cuts the carbon footprint in half. It's basically 3 times the volume of some of the traditional means or traditional manned aviation means of carrying the product. And to give you an idea, depending on which report you're reading, the air freight market right now is about $280 billion industry today. So these guys have about $6 billion of expression of interest, usually from the airlines. And Volatus, actually, we were tracking them really early on. So right after going public, we secured the first production delivery slot. So we'll get one of the first aircraft built in 2025. So while we're an industrial commercial company, that's our blue sky.
Got it. Okay. And freight is, where is that? Freight delivery is kind of one of your key areas that you're focusing on, right?
Yeah, if you click to the aviation slide, which is a couple, I think you got, there you go, right there.
Right here, this one right here.
So the difference between us and a lot of the, I'll say, what you call drone delivery companies is we're not focused at all on urban delivery. I think there's some good companies out there doing some interesting things. Regulations will eventually enable that, but at the moment, it's not a real, it's not a great spot for generating revenue in the near term. And we're an industrial commercial company. We commercialize. So our cargo is more industrial activities. So whether you're talking heavy industrial sites, ship to shore, shore to ship, restocking oil platforms, intra-island or very remote communities, basically places that we can obtain authority to use these tools. That's where we focus today. But the journey long-term is to continue beyond that into the larger aircraft, which will basically become, basically middle mile type transport vehicles.
Okay. And then let's talk real quickly about this. Let me back up here. The Nest, right? And
yep, with our air report.
Yes.
Yeah, that super excited about that. So we've been testing that now for several months to develop the data set that we needed to submit to Transport Canada to obtain approval. Now, it's an interesting product in that it's really the integration. Our solutions engineering people integrated a whole bunch of technologies into this. So believe it or not, there is an Asian charging station, which is really non-threatening because all it does is connect to the batteries and put power into the batteries. We have an Israeli connectivity platform, basically a remote operations platform. We've got environmental controls. One product that's fabulous is it's a company in the United States called Iris Automation. And they build a couple of products, one that goes in the drones or on the drones themselves. We're using something called Cassia G, which is their ground-based system. That's the little kind of tower you see beside the main cabinets. There's a few things on it. There's a weather station, there's some alerting things, some cameras and lights, but that head that you see on the top, that bird's nest looking thing or birdhouse, that's actually an optical system. So it's a camera-based system that actually tracks aircraft within about 2,400 meters. So let's call it 2.5 kilometers, call it a couple of miles to be safe. So it communicates with the drone. So if we have an aircraft come into the space, it'll actually communicate with the drone and tell the drone to land. We're keeping the commands pretty simple right now, but we expect sometime early in August to conduct the first flight in Canada that's remotely piloted without a visual observer as a private company and no radar system. And even more than that, we're expecting that we'll have the approval to conduct that test or those flights that day on our airport facility. So basically, in one of the most complex approvals that you can get, we're expecting shortly after that, we'll move it off the airport to an area that's more suitable for ongoing testing, not testing, but more demonstrations. And we expect to commercialize that late this year and into Q1 next year.
I'm going to see if this will play real quick.
Imagine a fully autonomous, remote, beyond visual line of sight drone nesting station that can be operated from anywhere in the world. Introducing the Airport. Fully weatherproof with an operating temperature between -55 and 55 degrees Celsius. A fully integrated HVAC system regulates internal temperatures. The onboard weather station provides you with a live weather forecast, including temperature, rain, wind, and humidity data. 24/7 availability, thanks to its onboard 4SIM 5G high-speed connection, allows you to operate Airport regardless of your operation center. Operations can be monitored and viewed using our custom software in high definition. Create missions easily using our custom user-friendly remote mission planner. Pre-flight assessments and risk mitigation can be accomplished using our integrated ground-based detect and avoid system, which can identify other aircrafts up to 2,400 meters away from the airport. Intruding aircrafts are tracked to avoid a collision. With our scheduling assistance software, any active drone can be assigned on a mission and sent to run periodically. An illuminated landing pad and dual spotlights help ensure visibility anytime, day or night. During takeoff and landing, loud alarms are triggered so anyone in the surrounding area can stand clear and stay safe. Larger areas can be covered using multiple nesting stations. Airport gives the operator flexibility by allowing any.
I thought this was absolutely brilliant. I'll tell you why. Because I'm thinking about, you know, the oil pipelines that have to do inspections on their oil pipelines every, I don't know what exactly, but they have to go and inspect. They used to use Cessnas for that, right? And then I'm thinking about wind turbines and towers, right? Cell towers, you know, that have to be inspected, right? And you have these display, you have them set out, and then they can charge and then automatically open, go do their inspection, right? Without having anybody monitor it. It does it on its own, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
So the key thing, so a couple of things there. Remember, we acquired a company a few months back that's actually in the pipeline business, and we're using Cessnas to actually monitor gas and oil pipelines. So the interesting thing is, in the area that we're operating, the utility is required to surveil their pipe or patrol their pipeline in the air once a week. And they use it for threat detections. They're looking for backhoes and things like that.
Right.
Basically, what we're doing initially is replacing the visual observer with sensors and artificial intelligence. And then eventually down the road, we'll introduce drones into that environment. But this nesting station is exactly that kind of application. So even now, if we identify a remote spur of pipe, something that's a piece of pipe in the middle of nowhere that has has the right environment, we can actually install a nesting station there and have those conducted autonomously. It's really cool. On top of which, we have a remote operations center in our facility north of Toronto, and it's got redundant power, redundant internet, basically can function completely off grid. And we can operate these stations anywhere, literally anywhere in the world. And if it doesn't have a 3G type, 3G, 4G, 5G type connection, we can actually plug in an Iridium satellite card that allows us to communicate via satellite. So it's a system that's extremely versatile, can be operated, even the system itself, it's designed to be operated off grid. So we can use solar power to make it completely independent. But just even imagine agriculture. You're monitoring plant health, and you want to monitor pest infestation. You don't need to go out there and whack the weeds, so to speak. You can have one of these sitting in a corner and actually launch it to inspect those areas. So it'll be a little bit of time before we can commercialize it in the United States, just because of the difference in regulations. But we figure the best way to commercialize it in the US is to tackle countries that we can, which includes Latin America, much easier in Latin America, and then Canada, where we can get the waivers to do it, and we can use the safety data that we accumulate in our efforts with the FAA to obtain approval with them. So quite excited about that specific product.
No, that's very exciting stuff. So listen, Glenn, I know you've got time constraints here. I think the last thing that we probably want to talk about quickly is the recent capital raise, right?
Yep. So I'll say a couple of things. First of all, it was a big decision for us to do it in this climate right now, because we could sustain ourselves just by kind of clipping our growth plans a little bit. But truthfully, the industry is robust. It's an appropriate time. I hate to use the term land grab, but it is a little bit of a land grab right now. We're coming off a strong quarter. We released some guidance prior to this for our second quarter financials. We're up 36% over Q1, still a seasonal quarter in Q2 for us, up 36% over the previous quarter. And that's a 92% growth year over year for the same quarter last year. So fairly robust there. But here's what's going on. The drone industry at large is doing well. So a lot of the small businesses, which are the primary suppliers in this space, have been growing. Well, now they're starting to choke on their own success. Small businesses oftentimes realize they have a working capital problem too late. And the current conditions make it very difficult for them to easily access affordable capital in spite of their successes, because they're early operators, and of course traditional banking can be a little bit more challenging. So for us, part of what we decided to do with this capital raise was improve our liquidity, because we're very lightly traded. I think we're on sale. We're a great bargain for people right now. But the other thing is, it also provides us with a little bit of additional cash that can support even leveraged buyouts, for example. And you want to make sure that even if we're using responsible debt instruments to buy a company, that we're properly capitalized to be able to, manage the growth of that company, and also be able to support the debt that we might incur. Now, obviously, it's not our first choice to do it that way, but right now the cost of acquisition has gone down. So bottom line for why now? Because the cost of capital is actually less than the cost of loss opportunities. So we believe we've got to keep moving forward while a lot of people are still kind of ducking and covering. A little bit of fears with recessionary fears and all those sorts of things. Honestly, the drone industry is booming, and it's not just because of the defense sector, although that's certainly growing with the misfortunate environment that's going on in Ukraine right now. But also because the commercial applications are expanding exponentially. Even our existing customer base, all of our customers, I would say a vast majority of our customers, our business with them in 2022 is much more than it was in 2020. Its adoption rates are increasing, the capabilities of the technology are increasing, and our knowledge as an industry on how to support some of those demands and really introduce the drone technologies as solutions, either as DFR, drones as first responders. That's a huge area of growth right now. A lot going on, supported by some really major investment from companies like let's say Qualcomm, for example, that is very interested in the drone industry and doing some interesting things, including on other planets. So it's quite exciting to see what some of the bigger companies are doing out there.
Right. Oh, all right. Listen, Glenn, I know that you've got a hard stop here. I wanted to get this, just get a quick follow up, see what's happening. I still love the story of VLTTF. I happen to agree with the fact that right now in the microcap space, drone industry, not just the drone industry, any microcap company right now, look, the whole sector has been beaten for the last 14 months. And now you're in a rising interest rate environment. And if you are a small company, no matter how you've been executing, if you have to do a cap raise, you're not sleeping, because this is not the environment to do it in, right?
Correct.
However, if you're able to do it without, destroying the stock too much, or through dilution, and I don't feel as though this raise does that to Volatus. I think it puts you in a better position. And I think there are companies out there that aren't going to be able to raise capital, and they're going to look for a partner that makes sense to merge with or be acquired by, right? Which strengthens the two companies. And that's a good thing. I think we're going to see a lot more of that, not just in the drone industry, but across the board.
Yeah,
right?
I agree with that for sure.
And you are in a position to be able to do that, to offer that to somebody that may be in a bad position. So
we're quite refined in our M&A strategies. We've done 14 acquisitions over 18 months. And it's a very refined process, but we're actually experiencing exactly what you just described. We're companies that we've talked to a year ago that were super interesting companies. Their valuations were just, not consistent with our approach. And they're coming back to us now. And it's, the opportunities are quite good. And it's not one that you're out there, scalping the industry. It's just the reality of where the market is right now. So I think we'll continue to have exciting times ahead. And I'll look forward to our next update.
Yeah, we'll be doing another one, I'm sure, real soon. Thanks for coming in, taking the time, and just keep doing what you're doing, Glenn. Keep executing.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate your support.
All right, hold on a second. I'm going to turn this off. Hey there, all you stock market junkies. Thanks for tuning in to yet another interview here at Alpha Wolf Trading. Today we had a follow-up with Glen Lynch from Volatus Aerospace, ticker symbol VLTTF. I hope you enjoyed today's follow-up interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, why not give us a follow? Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Trading wishes you the very best of success.